Today, we discuss recent coaching changes, the Cherington press conference, and the MLB playoffs. You're listening to the Bucko Banter podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates, yeah, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plate, send in case after case. Run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
I'm back. Our first episode of the off season. I'm kind of excited to get into it, man, because I was really tired of watching that team play baseball. So first, we get to focus on some quality playoff baseball, and then we can focus on making this team better.
What's happened recently doesn't make me feel any better about this team.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. The playoffs have been great. It's only we're 2 games in.
Yeah.
I honestly want to count that doubleheader with the Braves and the Mets as
that was
the playoffs as well, because that was unbelievable. The ebbs and flows of that game, the back and forth was awesome. That's just like what winning baseball looks like, and playing meaningful baseball at the end of the season is supposed to be. And it fills my heart, Scott. It makes me feel all types of ways.
Yeah, it was great. Every game that's been played so far has been really good baseball, entertaining baseball, especially that Mets and Braves series, man. And I have a soft spot in my heart for the Mets, obviously, and seeing them, they were a team that was not expected to do anything this year, and I think they didn't even expect themselves to. They have a lot of high hopes for next year, a lot of money coming off the books, and man, they adjusted midseason, like, hey, we're better than we expected, and they went for it. Would be nice if, a certain specific club did the same and adjusted with, the times and not stuck to a arbitrary window. But hey, not everyone can be the Mets. So
did they go for it, or did they just have the McDonald's character throw out the first pitch?
Oh, it was all Grimace. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Let's make the record clear. This is a Grimace run, a generational Grimace run. But you mentioned a window, Scott. I think that's a good transition. Let's get into it.
Yep.
The Pirates called a press conference today. Prior to the press conference, we knew Andy Haynes was fired. That's done. We knew Justin Mekich was fired.
Yeah.
That was done. We know the strength and conditioning coach, Adam Vish, was fired. That is done. A press conference was scheduled for today at 2:00. It was not streamed to the public, so we had to rely on our excellent beat reporters and various other outlets to relay the quotes and clips of videos of Ben Cherington feeding us absolute nonsense.
A nothing burger, man. And we talked about it before, right? Specifically last episode. If that news that Shelton, like, the firings are going to happen right away. Like, we're not going to find out a week from the last game that Shelton fired. Like, it was either going to happen last 2 weeks of the season, or it was going to happen the next day.
Right.
So when we heard the news about Vish, Message, and Haynes, it was pretty clear that was all that was going to happen.
I think the other two are warranted. It might be a little bit of a pointing finger at the bullpen just because of the way they performed this year and what they were supposed to do. But obviously, Andy Haynes, the Pirates finished bottom third in the majors in batting average, runs, home runs, on base percentage. And they did that also in the previous 2 years with Haynes running the hitting program. It was time. It was probably 2 years too late. The Pirates also blew 29 save opportunities this year, Scott.
Yeah.
29. Do you know the 2 other teams that were worse? You could probably take a guess.
Orioles?
No. Good guess, though. Good guess, given their situation.
Okay.
One of them was historically bad this year.
Okay. Are the Giants on there?
No. Historically bad. Maybe the worst team ever assembled.
Oh, the White Sox. Okay. I don't even know if they had a closer, to be honest with you, but okay, cool.
And the Red Sox.
So the Sox.
The Sox.
How many blown saves did they have?
More than 29.
Sorry. I I misheard that first time. I thought you said the Pirates were the worst, and then the next two. I thought you were going to tell me they had like 10 blown saves each or something like that.
No, the only two worst were the Red Sox and the historically bad White Sox.
Wow.
So we understand those. The big question was, what is going to happen with this front office? What is going to happen with Derek Shelton? Is he the guy for the job? We obviously have talked about it time and time again on culture. Is this going to be a winning solution for the current roster? Knowing as Pirates fans, it's probably not going to be that many crazy acquisitions in the offseason. You can get your hopes up. Time has told us that it's not going to happen. Fingers crossed again, but what makes this year different than any other year? And I just want to run through a couple of things here, Scott, and then you can chime in because this got me all types of worked up today. In 2019, the Pirates finished 69-93, last place. In 2020, they finished the COVID year 19-41, last place in the Central. In 2021, they finished 61-101, last place in the Central. In 2022, they finished 62-100, last place in the Central. In 2023, 76-86, fourth place. In 2024, 76-86, the same record that they had in 2023. So effectively no improvement by the numbers. Ben Cherington came out today and said there is, quote, clear evidence that this team is getting better. And there was an amazing question that was asked by one of the reporters there, Jenna Harner of WPXI, about the State of the Union and why Ben Cherington believes that this current club can make a difference in 2025. Take a listen.
And when you got here, this team finished last in the division. And since then, the best that you guys have finished is fourth overall in this division. Why should fans expect things are going to change, especially when it comes to playing meaningful games this time of year?
Yeah, so I think that...
So let's just stop right there. I mean, Jenna Harner, WPXI, great question. Why should fans think it's going to be any different? Why should they trust you? Pretty much. And his answer was, I mean, basically long-winded. Yeah. Beating around the bush, basically saying that, we're an improved club, but we haven't improved enough. And that the thing that got me here is going into 2025, he said, we're going in with the strongest and deepest roster we've had since I got here. Well, that is like a very low bar, Ben, very low bar. This team clearly has a ton of holes. It needs to be a lot stronger. And he used his keyword. He did this in the middle of the season or after May when we had a lot of struggles with Rowdy and other guys offensively. He said, we have a lot of guys on this current roster that need to improve. They didn't. Okay. Like Rowdy, sure. He improved from that first 2 months because you couldn't get any worse, but not enough to put this team over the top. Henry Davis didn't improve. Jack Sawinski didn't improve. And maybe with Jack, and we all know my thoughts on Jack are well documented. Maybe it's because that player is just who they are. They're showing us who they are, and they're nothing more. But also from a development standpoint, and we talked about this last episode, we're really lacking there. Like, you're banking on guys improving, but we have no track record of improving our own guys. So I don't want to hear it about player improvement unless we go get a hitting coach who has somewhat or some sort of success in Major League Baseball being a hitting coach, because Andy Haynes didn't have it. I'm really interested to see who that guy is going to be. But the player improvement, that comment really pisses me off and grinds my gears, because we have not improved one of our guys. Not one. So where do those improvements come from?
He also talked as if this is his job until he doesn't want it anymore. We're talking about they need to make moves in the offseason through free agency. Obviously. He's talking about internal development. Obviously. This is what really got me, Scott. This quote right here. It's hard. It's a hard job, and it's not supposed to be easy, but that's why we do it.
Okay.
This whole speech was him just telling us, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, it really was.
It's hard, guys. Give me a break. I'm trying my best. Dude, it's at this point, I know we like to joke around a lot. It's like, we're masochists. Why do we keep watching this team? They do the same thing over and over again. It was almost like today, they just wanted to make sure that nobody, like, we weren't going anywhere. Like, let's go out there and just throw another rock, or throw some more shit at the wall, see what sticks, and like give people something to talk about until they inevitably make another stupid move.
Yeah. I completely agree with everything you said there. And also, I'm going to repeat myself a lot this offseason. So, actually, I'm not going to apologize for it. I want Pirates fans to know that we can have it a lot better. Okay. There's no reason why this team, this organization, owner aside, I don't care who your owner is, can't operate like the Cleveland Guardians, can't operate like the Tampa Bay Rays. I want people to know that. I really do. For everyone who's listening, like I see a lot of stuff on social media making a joke of this organization. I get it. They deserve it. They deserve it. But it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. I also anticipate some moves being made in the front office that the general public won't hear about, but like I'm talking R&D, like entry level guys who probably isn't their fault, right? Like they're just contributors to the process. I think most of the blame with this organization, this team, falls on Ben Cherington and co. I really do. We can point fingers at Bob all we want. He's not going anywhere, and I'm not making an excuse for Bob. I have the same feelings, but Ben hasn't made the right decisions in his 5 years here. And another thing that really bothers me about a lot of his comments is that he's been here 5 years. Like he's had the opportunity to improve player development, make better acquisitions every year to improve this team. He's had that ability to do all the things that he talked about, and he just hasn't. He's failed at almost everything. He's had a couple good drafts here and there, but free agency, the trade market, everything has been well below average, and it needs. And I will say this again: this is the most important Pirates offseason of my lifetime. I don't know about all of our listeners, but of me and your lifetime, this is by far the most important offseason for the Pirates.
Of course. Which scares me because, as I mentioned earlier, they're probably not going to do anything that shocks the world. They're not going to do anything significant where you're like, wow, that really moves the needle to become the third best team in the Central, which shouldn't be difficult. This division has seemingly gotten worse over the years, and the Pirates are just following the trend instead of capitalizing on the Cardinals not being St. Louis anymore, on the Brewers being a good team. But are the Brewers a great team? No. The Cubs have struggled. The Reds can't pick what they want, despite all the talent that they have. And we still quite literally did the same thing this year that we did last year.
Yep.
It's really frustrating. I think anybody being vocal about it, fans, reporters, anyone on the outside, say what you want about the Pirates. You're probably right. It's sad to say, but you're probably right. One last thing, Scott. And then I might be done, but something else might come up in this small brain of mine. It was also reported that Cherington went to ownership to fight for Shelton's job.
Yep.
That bothers me for a ton of reasons. One, Cherington feels comfortable with the job that he's doing, where he has the gall to be able to go to ownership and be like, I know my job's safe. I'm coasting along here, but the guy that hasn't had a winning season, that's finished last or second to last in the Central for the past 5 years, listen, he should keep his job too going into next year. And not only that, but going into 2025, we're going to be accountable for our actions. Were you not accountable in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023? Were those oopsie daisy years?
Yeah.
That really bothered me. Accountability? Who's being held accountable? The leash is too long with just about everybody in this organization.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That comment kind of caught me off guard too. I've made my thoughts well known on Shelton, but something clearly needs to change in the organization, and the changes made are underwhelming to say the least. And it just puts more pressure on the offseason going in a specific direction. And you look at the free agent, and by the way, you look at the free agent market, it's not like a super sexy free agent class, right? So this is where this front office is going to have to get creative and make trades, deal from depth to add to the position player side. But I don't have. Why would any of us have faith in this front office getting creative?
Right.
So, yeah, I share your frustration on that Cherington quote. Hopefully this is the only press conference we hear of him, because I could use a break. And I never thought I'd say this, but I really miss Neil Huntington.
Wow.
So
clip it.
Put it out there.
There was just no point to the press conference. I know there's end of the year press conferences, but if this press conference was to announce the firings of Haynes, Meckage, and Fish, you already did that.
Yeah.
Multiple days prior. So unless you were going to come out and say, hey, guess what? This offseason is different. The payroll is going to increase. I am telling you right now that is going to increase. I am telling you right now that we are going to make a splash in free agency, that we are going to do everything we can to push for the best players to make this team better. We understood that we were bottom in the league in offense. We are going to get out there and get bats. If that was the press conference today, or we're going to go out there and find bullpen arms, we're going to go out there and get a good supporting cast for the pieces that we already have, I get that then. Because then you're setting a different tone. But you're just following suit of whatever you have done in the past. You've done nothing to bandage the boo-boos that you've made over the past 5 years, let alone in the past. Yesterday, you probably made a mistake. So it's like, and I think it's amplified just because the playoffs are going on right now. There's really good baseball happening, Scott. If you've watched the past couple of games and just seeing that energy and the atmosphere that the fans from San Diego have, the fans from, the Kansas City, the Detroit, and what they're doing right now, going down to Houston, Baltimore, like these are a lot of teams that haven't been in the playoffs. They haven't done much in the past couple of years, and they've shown that one move can change an organization. And a Aroldis Chapman trade effectively turned the Royals season around this year, from being a 50-win team to having 2 all-star pitchers with Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo.
Yep.
You've seen the development of Baltimore with the factory of hitting that they have there. And they went out and got Corbin Burns this year. Whether or not it's going to work and if they're going to keep him, that's a whole other story. But they're doing something to make a playoff push in one of the toughest divisions in baseball.
Yeah.
Detroit, what they've done, And that's not even a talent thing. They got Scooble. That's great. The Detroit Tigers are an average baseball team who got hot. They have bonded together. And I think he said, like, Hinch said, like, I asked you guys, like, at the break, what type of team are you? And I guess you're a playoff team.
It's pretty sick.
It's pretty sick. The delivery on it was awesome.
Well, let's stop right there. What's the difference between the Tigers and the Pirates?
I think the Pirates have more talent.
But the difference is the fact that they have a manager who has been there.
Of course.
And can you tell me a moment where you felt like this clubhouse was together and like I'm not just talking like Jared Jones ball skins. We know they're like bros.
I mean, you saw that photo.
Oh, I saw it. Trust me.
They're close.
Oh, they're close. But I'm talking about the whole team. Like this Tigers team, from Riley Green to Tyler Holton to Tariq Skubal, like they all just bond together, and they're not like they should not be here. They shouldn't be, but they have this camaraderie, this chemistry that pushes teams above their real talent level. I think
Gritty,
Detroit. Yeah.
It's everything Pittsburgh could be. It really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. The difference is a manager, because I think the Pirates have better pitching.
Yep.
The Pirates have, I don't want to say a better offense, because they don't, because I think both offenses are below average. But we have really good core pieces that either haven't performed to expectations yet or haven't truly developed, but it's the manager. You're right. People ask, what can a manager do now in baseball? Everything's so analytical and really just calculated. That's what a manager can do. When a guy is showing up every day, even these are human beings. Everybody has bad days. Everybody is not going to feel like playing every single day. It's a long season. You need a guy that people are going to rally around in those dog days of summer. We bring it up all the time, how hard the baseball season is and what a mental toll that it could take on you mentally and physically. You need a constant presence in the locker room that guys can find peace in, can find comfort in, and can find motivation in.
Absolutely.
And I'm not certain the Pirates have that.
Absolutely. I agree. It's a difference maker, man. It's a difference maker. Let's we're gonna break down the playoffs, but we're not just a Pirates podcast. We're big baseball guys. But I think you have some news to share from the minors real quick.
Sure. Real quick, Nick York and Ji-Hwan Bae were named International League All-Stars. Obviously, Ji-Hwan Bae had some major league time this year. He's not a major league player. Kills it in AAA. That kind of just shows you the difference between AAA ball and major leagues. It just hasn't been the difference between the two leagues is more than it's ever been before. And you've seen that with Henry Davis, Ji-Hwan Bae, guys like Palacios who have a lot of success in AAA. So good for him down there. He's going to stay down there. Nick York got a cup of coffee this year, tore it up in AAA. He was hitting like plus 350, had a decent time with the Buccos. Whether or not he's going to make the roster next year, if he'll be a piece that comes up and down or a bench guy, we'll see where Nick York fills in. But congrats to York and Bae. Let's talk about the good stuff, though. The Major League Baseball playoffs, my favorite time of the year. I don't think there's any atmosphere like it. There's a lot of very exciting teams. There's a lot of unpredictability here. We both put together a bracket. We put it together. We released it a little bit late.
Yeah.
So,
and listen, I know I posted it before. We're recording on a Wednesday. I posted it like what 5:30ish. Someone's gonna be like, "Yo, your ALCS team just got eliminated." Well, I'm a man of integrity. I kept my picks. I didn't change them. So make fun of my ALCS pick all you want, but I'm sticking with my gut.
That's fair. That's fair. And let's go right to that series. Let's go to Detroit and Houston. I picked Detroit, and the only reason I picked Detroit is because I think there is a ton of value in having the hot hand down the stretch and running into a team like that. We've seen it with Arizona. You saw it in the historical run with the Rockies back in the day. There's teams that get hot at the right time despite not being as talented, as experienced, and you don't know what to do with them. You were already up against the wall facing Tariq Skubal in game one, and you knew if they could take that game, which they did, it's a whole new series. And they swept them in Houston, an experienced Astros team that has always made a run deep into the playoffs or the World Series. And this could be a very different Astros team going into next year.
Yep. Bregman's gone.
Bregman's gone. They could be moving some pieces around, but good for Detroit, man. I had Detroit going against Cleveland, which will happen in the ALDS. Scott, what did you think about this series?
Yeah, this was the AJ Hinch Bowl, man. It's kind of poetic that AJ Hinch goes down to Houston, knocks out the Astros. I think Just Baseball posted it. This was the first year of Bregman's career that he didn't reach the ALCS, which is kind of ridiculous. But, it's the old dogs versus the young kids. And this Tigers team is feisty. Like you said, they have a lot of momentum. There's a couple other teams in this playoff that have momentum. I thought I had the Astros going to the ALCS. Okay. I had them moving on. And I thought the Astros experience would trump this momentum. I thought the Tigers are probably a year early. While they finished really strong, they're probably a year early from being a serious contender. But man, they don't even have a starter after Skubal, like Reese Olson maybe. But today they went Tyler Holton, who's been one of the best relievers in all of baseball. You got Jason Foley and Bo Boreski in the bullpen too. Like their bullpen's been their bright spot. That's what's kept them in games. And then you got Tariq Skubal won the Triple Crown for pitching. So the big question mark with this Tigers team is, are they going to hit? And one big contributor for them is Parker Meadows. He had a big home run today, but he returned to the team beginning of August this year. And in the last 2 months of the season, had a 137 WRC plus. He's been a big reason for their success here at the end of the year and getting them in the playoffs. He's the younger brother of the Austin Meadows for you Pirates fans out there. But yeah, this Tigers team, I wouldn't want to play them right now. And they're playing Cleveland next round. It's going to be a central face-off. And I think we've all clowned the AL Central for being a weak division, but 3 teams got in this year.
Yeah, very, very impressive. Let's go to, before we get into Detroit and Cleveland, let's stick with the AL. Let's go to Kansas City and Baltimore. Another really interesting series, Scott.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
Go on.
I was just going to say, this Royals team won 56 games last year, and they won 86 this year. They increased their win total by 30 games. So for all you Pirates fans out there who listen to Ben Cherington talk about, improving every year and incremental growth, screw all that
bullshit.
Royals are, and we talked about them last episode about their great offseason and how aggressive they were in the free agent market. This is a team that the Pirates could operate like as well. But go ahead.
I picked the Royals. I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. They're up 2-1 in the top of the 7th. I just didn't like the way the Orioles finished the year. They got their shit together a little bit towards the end, but for the talent that they have and the expectations that were set over the past couple of years leading into this season, I thought you kind of dropped the ball on this one. And again, you have another gritty team of Kansas City, who we talked about on this podcast before, of a healthy mix of guys that have been there like Salvador Perez, and then young studs like Bobby Witt Jr. I like Kansas City. I don't have them winning it all. I think they're still a little bit early, but man, Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, and then if this game were to go to game 3, you have Michael Wacha, who has a ton of experience in the playoffs. I like that, man. I mean, the bullpen on both sides. This is why I don't have Kansas City going far if they win. The bullpens are terrible.
Yeah.
You're talking about a team that DFA'd their closer on the Orioles. and the Royals, who just have been bottom 10 in the league. Both of them are bottom 10 in the league. So bad bullpens don't really equate to long seasons or success in the postseason. I have the Royals, Scott.
I'm gonna admit I had the Orioles before the season. My World Series pick was Phillies over Orioles. I thought that'd be a fun one. But the Orioles, they've had injuries. Their bullpen came out flat. Obviously they don't have their closer this year in Felix, and Kimbrel was really bad. They also acquired Sir Anthony Dominguez and Gregory Soto from the Phillies, who were very weak points of the Phillies bullpen for the last 2 years. So yeah, the bullpens are atrocious, right? But if history tells us one thing, if you acquire Will Smith in the offseason, you're going to the World Series. So I wouldn't say the Royals aren't going to the World Series. That would be a fun story. I'm not counting on it. But yeah, I picked the Orioles in this one. It looks like it's 2-1 Royals, like you said, in the top of the 7th right now in game 2 with the Royals up 1-0. This is a very, in my opinion, aesthetically pleasing matchup. The royal blue and white versus the black and orange. It's a fun one. It's also the battle of the young shortstops, Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson. I thought this Orioles lineup was deeper, but shout out to Cole Reagans. Didn't they win like 1-0 last night in game 1?
Yeah.
I mean, crazy pitcher's duel between him and Corbin Burns. It's Eflin versus Lugo today, which also seemed like it was a pitcher's duel. Shout out to the Royals, though, man. Increasing your win total by 30 games, getting to the playoffs, really maximizing the prime of a superstar talent in Bobby Witt.
Agreed. Let's stick with the AL, Scott. Cleveland versus Detroit. Well, obviously, I know you had Houston going through. Let me hear your thoughts on this Cleveland team. I know you're big on the Cleveland Guardians.
I'm big on the Guardians. I'm big on Stephen Vogt as a manager. I'm big on Stephen Kwan, Josh Naylor. You know, I like a lot of what they did this year. Jose Ramirez, I like their lineup. I like their rotation. I'm a big Tanner Bybee fan. I think Cleveland is going to be is a better all around team than Detroit. I don't think anyone would argue with you with you on that. So I'm going to take Cleveland to go on to the ALCS from this matchup, but I think it'll be a fun one. I think it'll be kind of Big Ten-ish, if you will. You know, you got some hard-nosed, gritty, blue-collar baseball. It might not be the highest scoring games because Cleveland won't outslug the world. I think it'll be a fun matchup, and you get a couple days rest for Tariq Skubal. You might see him game 2 in this series. So I think this will be if you're a baseball junkie, this will be a really fun series to watch.
I like what you said about Stephen Vogt. Austin Hedges was on Talking Baseball with Chris Rose, and Chris Rose asked Hedges, like, what does he mean to this team? And it kind of resonates with what we were talking about earlier, is he brings good energy, good vibes. He called him one of the best mentors that he's ever had. He said he has great awareness of the clubhouse. He's able to notice when guys are having bad days, good days, and bringing them together. And he's not just going up to the players or coaches. He's talking to like staff, everyone in the organization. Everybody's on the same page. And that's why Austin Hedges, again, former Bucco, thinks that he is the best manager or one of the best managers he's ever been around. And that's why they're having so much success. Similar market, similar spending, above average manager.
Yeah. He's a rookie manager, no managing experience. I mean, he's kind of an outlier, but everyone knew from the very beginning that Stephen Vogt would be a good manager, and he landed in the perfect spot.
It's just like, you never hear people talk about or like come out how much Derek Shelton means to this team. Or like when the team is on a 10-game losing streak, like, hey, like, we believe in Shelton, like, we're rallying around because we trust the process. If that's what you want to call it. It's not happening. I have Detroit's playoff run ending right here, Scott. I like this Cleveland team a lot. really don't think with the Tigers, I don't think they're going to be able to hit throughout the entire playoffs. And I just think Cleveland can stay consistent enough. They've had guys that have been there before. I have Cleveland going to the ALCS, and I have the Kansas City Yankees matchup going to play them.
Well, who do you have in the Kansas City Yankees matchup? I'm kind of curious.
I have the Yankees. I think the Yankees push through this year.
I do too. I think the path for them is very clear, and I'm going to go out on a limb, probably not a limb, and say that it would be a major disappointment if the Yankees don't make the World Series this year.
I would agree with that. The rotation between Cole, Heel, Rodon, Schmidt,
yeah,
Stroman, like, dude, come on. This team is awesome. They could change the game with a swing of a bat, with Soto, with Judge, and supporting cast. I don't have them winning at all, but I have them going to the World Series. I don't think this Kansas City team has enough just to get through what they're going to deal with in New York as long as the starting pitching holds up.
Yeah, at some point you got to think that playoff experience will come into play here. And as much as we love the Royals and Tigers, I think they're 1 year away from really being legitimate contend. Not that they're not legitimate contenders, but like someone that we can be like, don't want to face them. So this is a big opportunity for the Yankees to get to the World Series. I have them going to the World Series too. I had them beating the Orioles in this matchup in the ALDS. And like you said, they have guys that can change the game, the swing of the bat. They have, I think they're going to be extra motivated to tell Juan Soto, this is a place you want to sign long-term. Get a World Series with Aaron Judge while he's still in his prime. I don't know. I think the cards are lining up almost too perfectly for them, which makes me think that they're not going to make it. But if I was a betting man, I'd say the Yankees are going to move past whoever they play in the DS and the CS and get to the World Series.
I agree with that. Let's go to the NL, Scott.
Let's do it.
Mets Brewers.
Oh,
the Mets are up 1 game. Game 2 is tonight. I have the Mets beating the Brewers tonight. I have them putting it away. I think this is similar to Detroit, and they have the hot hand. This team has everything going for them. That doubleheader going into this, I think, helped significantly set the tone for the rest of the playoffs. They are going to beat the Brewers in 2. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, I'm really regretting not picking them. I picked the Brewers. Brewers are another team that I think are a product of a bad division. And you can't discount winning 91, 92 games. I don't know if I truly believe in them, especially in their pitching matchup tonight. Like Frankie Montas, who had a 4.84 ERA this year, is going up against Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea had a really good year. Yeah, the Brewers, the only thing that scares me about the Brewers against the Mets is that they're aggressive on the bases, and the Mets are really struggle with holding runners. They're a young team, and they're going to be good for years, but do they have that? Do they have enough, especially in the rotation, to get them to the next level? I don't think so. And the Mets have more playoff experience, and they have momentum right now. I mean, JD Martinez, before the season, said he was addicted to the playoffs. Well, you're back, buddy. And this Mets team, it's hard not to rally behind them right now. Like I said, I have a soft spot for them, and I think that doubleheader was huge. And they have a lot of momentum right now. I see some people taking them to the NLCS. I don't feel that crazy about them right now, but they are a fun watch.
I just don't like this Brewers team as a playoff team.
Yeah.
I think the Mets have significantly better starting pitching. The Brewers might be a little bit more well-rounded, but I think momentum is everything here, which would make us, if the Mets do proceed and they move on, they would play Philadelphia.
I don't think the Phillies want to play them right now.
I wouldn't want to play the Mets right now either. But let's talk a little bit about Philadelphia. Obviously, this is one of the best teams in baseball all year, 95-67, Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez. You had Ranger Suarez, who got off to an amazing start, abysmal second half of the season. Since July, he's just been god awful. You have experience with the Phillies. You have the energy that comes from playing at the bank. And you have Bryce Harper. I think that's the big thing here. The Phillies need to win a World Series with Bryce Harper. I know you believe that as well.
I do believe that. And I'm going to spoil my World Series pick. I have the Phillies over Yankees, which was a tough one for me. But I also, the last couple years, I want to say this will be my third year straight that I've picked the Phillies to win the World Series. I think it's going to happen. Like, I think it's inevitable. I think Red October is a real thing this year. It has been. I mean, they've had a lot of playoff magic. They fell short to the Diamondbacks last year, but man, did they have a nice NLCS run against the Padres 2 years ago to play the Astros. I think they're going to win one with Bryce Harper, and I think Citizens Bank Park in October is the toughest environment to play in, and it's going to be electric. And if my World Series pick is correct, Phillies and Yankees, Citizens Bank and Yankee Stadium might cause an earthquake. Just saying.
100% agree. I have the Phillies going to the NLCS, beating the Mets in the division series. Let's go to Atlanta, San Diego. There was an awesome game last night. Michael King was absolutely dominant.
Love Michael King.
A near historic performance. And then you have Fernando Tatis Jr., who has just been such a spark plug added to this team at the end of the year. First of all, I have a gripe to pick with him because I had him on fantasy entire year, didn't play, and now he's back and he's killing it. So sucks for me. Great for San Diego. Man, this was where it got tough for me in the NL. There's a lot of worthy teams, but the Padres are so good. And again, they're hot.
I have a hot take.
Go for it.
Are the Padres the most talented team top to bottom in the playoffs? I mean, people are going to say, oh, Dodgers, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani.
Profar, Merrill, Tatis, Machado.
I mean, from top to bottom, gross bullpen. You're going to go up against Michael King. I also would be fun if we see the Yankees Padres in the World Series, because this would be the most like even trade on earth. I don't know if I want to say even, but like it benefited both sides, right? Michael King has been, he's someone I've always believed in. It really, I'm sure, sucked for Yankees fans to see him leave in that trade, but you get Juan Soto, so it's whatever. He was gross last night. You got Musgrove after him. He's pitching tonight, and then you got Dylan Cease. I mean, they're just top to bottom. I don't really see a hole, and that's where maybe most talented might be a stretch, because you got the Dodgers who have like extreme upside with Shohei and Mookie and Freddie Freeman, name the rest. But top to bottom, I think this Padres team is a force to be reckoned with.
Not going to have Ha-Seong Kim for the remainder of the playoffs.
Not good.
He is out with shoulder surgery. Wonder how that affects his free agency, which maybe we'll talk about in later episodes. Probably the best shortstop on the market. I agree, man. This Padres team is great. 3.86 overall ERA on the year. Fourth highest K-9 rate in the league at 9.09. I have the same note. The lineup is relentless. The front four with the bullpen is good. They're well-rounded. I have them winning against the Braves. They're up 1 right now. I have them going to play the Dodgers in the NLDS.
Which is going to be electric, right? Dodgers, Padres are like Yankees, Red Sox of the West. This Braves team is, I think, due to the doubleheader and due to their injuries and everything, the team that I think is at the very bottom of the barrel in terms of talent in the playoffs. It's remarkable how far they've gotten, with Marcell Ozuna having a career year, Chris Sale having a career year, but even he's out now. So, like, I think the Padres, I think it's a safe bet. They're going to win tonight and move on and play the Dodgers. I have Phillies Padres, which is a rematch of the NLCS from 2 years ago, going at each other.
I have the Dodgers winning.
Ooh, okay. Shohei puts an end to their disappointment in October.
I know it's like, okay, I have Yankees, Dodgers. And that might be like, oh, yeah, you pick the Yankees and the Dodgers. Cool.
Dude,
like, sick. I mean, To my credit, I've been right pretty much in the first round so far. The Dodgers, you talk about the Padres having maybe the most talented lineup. I think I got to push back against that a little bit.
Okay. Even with Hassan Kim out, like, yeah, I get it. You got to
Yeah.
move Bogarts back to short, and so you suffer a little bit on defense.
But still, man, just the Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman,
Yeah.
back to back. And that's just not even like the rest of the lineup also hits extremely well. As a team, they're hitting 258, 335, 446. They have a collective WAR of 33.8.
Do the Pirates even have a 33 WAR for their whole team?
It has to be negative. I don't like it's, and I know, like, I don't want to be like, hey, like the Dodgers are bad for baseball. Like, they spend the money. It's like, they're almost like what people would talk about with like the Yankees in like the early 2000s, right? How everybody hated the Yankees and the whole discourse was like, hey, yeah, of course you're going to be there. You buy everybody, you spend the money. But it's like, that's what baseball is now. And they're willing to go out there and put out the best team possible that they can do every single year. They spent $700 million on Ohtani. Do we think that was worth it? Absolutely. So I just don't see anybody beating this team. I really don't. I see them going to the World Series. I see them winning the World Series. I think they're going to beat the Phillies in 7.
Okay.
And I'll give you my wild playoff prediction. I think Shohei Ohtani has 1 or 2 relief appearances. Meaningful relief appearances.
Report today saying that they don't think he will, but I wouldn't put it past them.
I just think if it comes down to it, it's a long shot prediction, but I think if it comes down to it, Ohtani proves why he's worth $700 billion. And I would feel confident throwing him out there. People forget how good he is at pitching.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. They're gonna do. I don't think people realize how much pressure that are on the Dodgers right now to win a World Series. Like they can't go the next couple of years without winning one. They really can't with how much money they have invested in this team. And I think it would be a massive disappointment if they didn't win one. So I think they're going to pull out all the stops. If they pitch Ohtani, wouldn't surprise me.
I agree with that too, because outside of the Mickey Mouse World Series that everybody claims with 2020, the COVID year, they need something to put that to rest. And I think this is the year. I think in LA, New York Yankees World Series might be the most watched
easily
of all time.
Easily.
And it's good for baseball. I think as good as it would see to have the Tigers versus the Mets, or like the Tigers versus, like, I don't want to say the Braves because the Braves have been there, but like if they see the Brewers make a run and like these small teams, but it's like nobody's going to care.
Maybe maybe you're onto something. Maybe Rob Manfred is like, everyone was shitting on Texas versus Arizona last year being a low ratings World Series. Well, I'm going to make sure that New York and LA gets into it, or Philly and New York.
I've seen the script, man.
It's happening.
I've seen the script.
I may or may not have seen it. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's make it a little bit more interesting. We've been going for about 50 minutes now, so we're going to close it out here pretty soon. You have
Phillies over Yankees.
Phillies over Yankees. How many games and who's your MVP?
I'm going to go 7 games. And my MVP is going to be Mr. Las Vegas, Bryce Harper.
Good pick. I have the Dodgers in 6 over the Yankees. And I'm going to say Mookie Betts is the World Series MVP this year. Take it to the bank. You thought I was going to go Ohtani? No, you thought wrong. It's Mookie Betts. This is all fun. I'm really excited, Scott, to watch this right when we get them recording. I'm going to turn on some baseball. There's some baseball going on right now. Before we end the episode, let's just give a quick update on what is happening in this game. Still 2-1 Royals in the top of the 8th. So potentially the Royals are moving on to play the Yankees. My plan, my vision is coming to fruition. I'm excited to watch some baseball.
Any former Pirates in this game? Is Adam Frazier on the Royals roster?
Adam Frazier is on the Royals roster.
All right, let's go.
So you could probably find one weird bucko on all these.
Is Colin Selby on any roster here?
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure he was on the Royals and the Orioles at some point, but
I think you may be right. Catch us this week on Friday on the debut of The Point on NS9. It's a game show. You're going to see an NS9 member, both members of Bucko Banter, and Pirates beat reporter Noah Hiles, who will be joining the show on Sunday. And then from then on, bi-weekly co-hosting with myself and Scott. We are looking forward to that and all the episodes that are going to come. Follow us on all socials, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. What else am I missing? TikTok, OnlyFans, YouTube.
Truth Social.
Go to YouTube and subscribe, like, leave a comment. If you're listening, we appreciate you. Give us a 5-star review, download the episode. It means a ton. And for the first time this off season, let's raise it.
Raise it.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Or the steak by the plates and